Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Making It in Manhattan. Today we are doing the New York Fashion Week recap. I need to be honest, I am so tired right now. New York Fashion Week just ended like one day ago, but I knew I needed to get here into the studio while everything was still fresh in my mind just to give you the recap, the front row stories, who I saw, what I did, what I wore, and everything in between. So let's get started. Okay, so New York Fashion Week started on Wednesday, September 6th. I think it was. All the days really start blending together, guys, once the week starts. Every single day I had probably at least 3 shows and then maybe an event or a presentation or a party or two just to give you like the overall general vibe of what was going on. Because when I was getting ready to film this episode today, I was like, oh, do I want to give you guys a day-by-day breakdown? But I feel like the day-by-day breakdowns and just like the general of like, I went to all these shows today, that's on my Instagram. Like I do my daily Fashion Week vlogs on my Instagram, which were really fun and I very much so enjoy. But they take a lot of time and energy. So if you want a day-by-day breakdown, go there. But I think for this, I really want to give you guys like the behind-the-scenes antics and like what really went down and who I saw and all that fun stuff. So just to start, I want to start by going through some of the shows that I feel like were highlights or some of my favorite shows or favorite moments. So I want to start with the Christian Siriano New York Fashion Week show because that's always one of my favorites, but this year in particular, it was just wild because it was Christian's 15th anniversary show. So it was bigger and better than ever. If you think his show is always amazing every season, it was like that times 10. So the show is being held at the Pierre Hotel in Midtown. But to kind of like rewind this day, I think I can give you guys a little bit of a breakdown of this day. So this was the second day of Fashion Week. I had the Kate Spade presentation first at the High Line, which was gorgeous, but I wore a look from Kate Spade to that event. Then I had a lunch with Instagram at American Bar. It was a very intimate lunch with the Instagram team, which was amazing. Got to really like connect and chat and just like eat a little bit of food. But then I had to leave early from the lunch because the Christian Siriano show was all the way uptown and I did not want to miss the show. And during Fashion Week, if you need to get from like West Village to uptown, you need to give yourself at least 30 minutes at least. So my assistant came and I had to change from my Kate Spade look into a literal gown, and I changed in the bathroom at American Bar. So probably, I think something that is a real fun behind the scenes is the outfit changes. Like, where do I do them? How do I do it? And I was showing on my daily vlogs, like, okay, now I packed up my garment bag with all my looks and like, here we go. So my assistant essentially will help me like hold on to the garment bag and man the garment bag while I'm running in and out of shows. And then wherever we are, whenever we have time, that is when I do my outfit change. So it can be in American Bar's bathroom. It can be in the back of an Uber. It can be in a Starbucks bathroom, like literally anywhere I have time and anywhere where I have a second and they don't kick me out, that is where I will do my outfit change. So I did this change in American Bar, and the lighting in American Bar bathrooms is like not great for an outfit change, especially when you're trying to put on a gown. Because it was so dark. So anyway, changed into that gown, walked out, got in an Uber, headed uptown to the Pierre Hotel. Inside, the runway was like covered in these gorgeous floor to ceiling, like blue and purple rose flower installations, which was just absolutely gorgeous. When I got inside, took a ton of pictures, and you guys probably see me posting a lot about like taking photos and things like that. So there's street style photographers who shoot for different outlets, and then there's also photographers who are maybe shooting for the brands. They could be shooting for Getty Images or BFA, or like, for example, after the Christian Siriano show, I ended up on Women's Wear Daily, which was really exciting, as like spotted front row at the Christian Siriano show in a little article, which is always really exciting, especially if you know me and you know in my book about how, like, at one of my first fashion weeks, I was plotting and planning on how I could end up in a street style roundup. So it's always still very exciting for me when my outfit photos end up in some sort of roundup or in some sort of press the day after the show. So took tons of photos, and then I started seeing like a bunch of celebrities arrive. So at the show was Avril Lavigne was there, Kesha was there. I love Kesha, such a diehard Kesha gal. Janet Jackson was there. Tons of celebrities. There was a really like packed section of celebrities. And then I think the most incredible or exciting moment of all, though, was Christian showed his collection, and he kind of had like a part 1 and 2. So showed his collection, right? And then when you're starting to think, oh, all the dresses have come out, like you think the show's over, all of a sudden you see security carrying out what looks like a little woman covered in like a fluff of pink with a big bow on her head. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I hear all this commotion, and you can just see like the security literally carrying this woman out. Lo and behold, it is Sia. And Christian actually got Sia to come and perform live at his 15th anniversary show. So then she came out, and essentially I was like, why'd she have to be carried out? You know how Sia always wears those wigs that like cover her face? I didn't realize, like, which I guess makes sense now thinking about it, like she can't actually see through the wig. So the security guards carried her out, put her there. And then while she sang, which was so beautiful, like chills, essentially Christian sent out like a whole nother like almost collection of gowns. And these gowns were just like very whimsical and beautiful. And Coco Rocha, who is an amazing supermodel, she closed the show in this just like pink tulle gown. But she was rocking it, like the way she was whipping that dress around. It was just so magical. And to hear Sia sing live, like while these looks were coming down the runway, was truly such like a magical fashion week moment. And for Christian's 15th anniversary show, like it was just so surreal, and something that I think I will never ever forget, because I can remember just being invited to Christian Siriano's shows, like I don't even know, like 5 years ago, but seated in the last row, like literally back and in the corner. I can remember this one specific show at Pier 59. It was before like I had been working in this industry very long. I didn't, now I've built such a beautiful relationship with Christian and his team. But I was invited because I worked at magazines, and I was just happy to be there. But to go from like being seated in the little back corner to now being dressed and being seated front row at the Christian Siriano show, like it really is such like a pinch me making it in Manhattan moment that, I'll always treasure that show. So also to tell you guys a little bit about what I wore to the show. So Christian sent me 3 outfit options, which was very, very nice. And one was a black dress with white ruffly sleeves. And then one was like this off the shoulder navy blue. I kept calling it like a shiny option. It was like, looked like pleathery, kind of like metallic-y, shiny fabric. And then the third, which is the one I went with, was a hot pink strapless gown, floor length, with like this big poofy peplum in this, hot pink material. It was just so gorgeous. And then I styled it, since I had these outfit changes during the day. I didn't want to have to be messing with my hair, because my hair is so finicky, because I naturally have pretty like thin hair. So I was like, if I curl it, it's not going to stay. So I slicked it all back into a bun. My makeup stayed all day. What is it? Urban Decay setting spray for the win. And then I wore these earrings and necklace that were from Swarovski, a little bag from this brand called Symmetry that I got from Wolf & Badger, and then shoes from Sarah Jessica Parker. So that was my look for the show, and that show was definitely just such a highlight for me. And then after that show, I actually had another outfit change. So that was my busiest day of outfit changes. I had 3 outfit changes. So After that, I jumped in an Uber and I stopped by the Daily Front Row Awards for like a few minutes at the Rainbow Room, but I really couldn't stay long because then I had the Mila Sullivan show, and she's a small and upcoming designer, and it was her very first show ever, and she sent me a look as well. So someone actually asked me on social media, were all these outfit changes necessary? And I wanted to point out I only do multiple outfit changes if I'm being dressed by the brand. So I'm not just changing my outfits for my health or because like I just want to be in a different outfit for a different show. I'm changing only if the brand sent me a look. Then I want to like obviously support and wear an outfit from a designer. And I don't always even accept all the looks designers offer me because I just can't be everywhere at once, and I can't be doing 5 outfit changes a day. It like really takes a toll on my mental and physical health during fashion week sometimes. So I really 3 outfit changes a day is like the max I can do. And on the second day of fashion week is when I had 3 outfit changes. And it was only because I wanted to support Kate Spade, Christian Siriano, and Mila Sullivan because they all sent me such beautiful looks. So for the Mila Sullivan show, I changed in the back of my Uber. I was like, that was a hard one because I was wearing these jeans under a dress, and the jeans, I picked them out of my closet so late at night. They were so tight. Like, they fit, but they were so tight. So putting on these jeans in the back of a bumpy Uber and trying to and they were also a button fly, guys. Like, they weren't even a zip fly. So I'm trying to, like, I was, like, sucking it in and trying to pull these buttons up while, like, the Uber's bouncing. I'm like, I'm literally going to die. But it all worked out. And so I wore these jeans and I layered and a sequin turtleneck from Cinca Sep, and then I layered this sheer lacy Mila Sullivan dress over top. Had a Mila Sullivan bag. I wore these fuzzy Ugg clogs because my feet were killing me because the day before I wore these these orange platforms, and oh my gosh, they were gorgeous. But I wore them from like 10 a.m. to probably 10 p.m. I thought my foot was going to fall off. Like, I was in so much pain. So I was like, fuzzy clogs it is for the win. So I had these fuzzy clogs, and then I wrapped this vintage boa around me, and I honestly loved the look so much. Some people thought it was a little crazy, but it was very eccentric. But the Mila Sullivan show was being hosted at a church, and it was a beautiful collection, beautiful show. But the reason I'm telling you all about this is one of the other highlights for me of the week is one of my best friends actually walked in her very first Fashion Week show this week. So she walked at the Mila Sullivan show, and then she also walked later this week at the Tanner Fletcher show. And she's been my friend for, I don't even know, like maybe 6 years or so now. And I've known she's wanted to model for so long. So to watch her come out, and like, I knew she was modeling, so I was ready for it. I was nervous sitting there. I was like so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I was doing it. I was so nervous. And then to watch her walk out and just look so stunning and so powerful and just kill it, I actually started crying. I was just like so excited for her. So that was also definitely a highlight for me, was to get to watch one of my friends like make her dreams a reality and walk in her first show ever. It was so beautiful. So from day 2, those were just some of my highlights. Another show highlight for me was the Dauphinette show. So Dauphinette is a smaller designer, and I had never been to one of her shows before. I was really excited to be invited, and it was hosted actually at the Georgia Room, which is where I went out on the night of my 30th birthday. So the Georgia Room is essentially like a little club, but it was super cool. Like, cleared it out and like set up all these chairs around and made it into a runway. But the collection was just so beautiful. Like, the attention to details and the beadwork and the embellishments. They also had this dress that was clear but was filled with matchbooks, which I loved. And they had these shoes that were red, and they just had like all beads. I said like like on TikTok, like the ASMR videos that are just like the like sounds and the clinks and like bottles breaking. It was like an ASMR treat for the soul, this show, because all of the beadwork and stuff as the pieces walked up and down the runway like was just so beautiful, and the sounds were heavenly. So that was definitely a highlight for me. Other shows that like I loved, the Colin Lacasio show was beautiful and always one of my favorites. This season, he opened the show with like this sequin strapless top that had a huge poofy sequin flower on it, and it was amazing. And then he also had these like sequin poofy embellishments of dolphins on clothing, on tops, on dresses. Like, it was super cool. Avril Lavigne was also at his show as well. She was bopping around all week and at a bunch of different shows. As I mentioned, the Tanner Fletcher show that my friend also walked in was super beautiful. And instead of a show, they actually did a beauty pageant, which I thought was really, really cool and different. So when you walked in, they had like a violinist and all these instruments playing, which was beautiful. And then to start the show, they had like a host MC come out and essentially announce that the show was a beauty pageant. And then as each model came down the runway, she spoke as if it was a beauty pageant and was like, "This is so and so. They're from here. They love X, Y, and Z. They hope to blah, blah, blah." Like, kind of like a beauty pageant, which is so cute and was such a cool way to like also highlight the models, because I feel like at a lot of the shows, the models walk back and forth and they're so stunning and they're so amazing, but like you don't know anything about the models. You don't even know their names. You don't even hear anything about them. So it was so cool to hear them speak and introduce and talk about the models. And then my favorite look from the Tanner Fletcher show, there was a lot of things I loved, but probably there was this white suit that had, I believe, purple bows all over the suit, and oh my goodness, it was such a beautiful piece. I would love to style that outfit. I mean, it would also be so sick for like a wedding or something. Imagine it with like a veil with bows on it. It would just be so cool. And it was actually Tanner Fletcher's first New York Fashion Week show ever. They've done presentations before, but this was their first show. So this season, I really made it a point. I really wanted to support a lot of up and coming and smaller designers and brands who maybe it was their second show or their first show or something like that. And for me, I really enjoyed that so much, because you guys know me, like I get really mushy about watching the designers come out at the end. Like that's one of my favorite parts, or like the moments right before the show starts and everything. So to get to watch these designers come out at the end of their first or second show and to see their faces and things like that, like that's always one of the highlights for me. I literally love it so much. And then also another young brand who I love and was a highlight was the Milk Show. It's spelled Melke, but the reason it's called Milk is it's actually like the word milk, but she, like growing up, pronounced it milk. So I just thought that that was like such a cute thing. But her collection was so unique and so colorful and fun, and she used like little alligator motifs like in her collection. Like this one skirt wrapped around and was literally like an alligator. It was just so cool. And I think for me, like all of the collections that really stood out this season, like Milk, like Colin and Tanner Fletcher, were all brands that were doing stuff that felt very unique and different to me, and didn't just feel, you know, like something I'd seen before, or the same things over and over. I also, you know, more highlights, loved the Kate Spade presentation. It was super sequin focused. There were so many sequin looks, and it was my first event of the day on that day, so I was super tired. Like, and I had to, with Fashion Week, something for you guys to know, if I have an event at one time, like say I have an event at 9, I always get up 3 hours before that to do my hair and makeup, to film a get ready with me, and then just to give myself enough time to get there, because you never know with traffic and everything. So I give myself 3 hours. So that's why at the end of Fashion Week, and that's why if you're watching the video now, maybe I look a little bit tired, because I feel like I'm like trying to make my eyes really wide open because I'm so sleepy. But yeah, the Kate Spade presentation, they had these little rose chokers that were made out of sequins, and it was just really fun and also just colorful and happy. I think a lot of times, as I mentioned, we get caught up in the running around in the game of, you know, who's there, who's where, who got invited to what. I didn't get invited to that, this, that, and the other. But when I see something truly beautiful or really fun, that's what like reminds me why I do what I do, and just like pushes me through the craziness and the hecticness of the week. But it really was a great week. I had a great schedule, and I feel like I focused on a lot of these up and coming brands that I really love and want to support. And of course, I had my tried and true brands who I love, like a Kate Spade and a Christian Siriano, who were so amazing as well. And just make it all worth it. Make the running around, the late nights, because then I get up early 3 hours before to get ready, and then when I got home every single night, I gave myself 2 hours to edit the daily vlog and the get ready with me, no matter what time it was, because I wanted to make sure I woke up the next day with my content already edited and ready to go, so that once I'm running around the next day, I have everything edited and can just post it whenever I have a minute. So I feel like at this point, I have Fashion Week down to like a formula where Dave would walk in the room at night during Fashion Week, and Dave knows at this point, we've been together almost 10 years now. He doesn't see me during Fashion Week. It's a hi and a goodbye. He made dinner for me one night that I actually got home around 6. But I was like, I'm just a robot at this point. I'm like doing what I gotta do. I know the time I need to get up. I'm editing. I'm going to bed, and that's it. And I'll see you in a week. It's pretty much the how it works at this point. But I did wear some like really, really insane and incredible looks this week that I loved. I mean, just to touch on some of my looks, I mean, my look for the Milk show was really fun. She dressed me, and I wore this blue dress that had the neckline had like a chain around my neck, like it was like a little halter, and it was poofy. And then the best part was there was little orange peaches on the dress, like little actually like 3D peaches on the dress. And I styled it with, she also gave me like long gloves that matched the blue of the dress. I wore big blue glasses, silver boots, and an orange bag, and it was just a really fun look. Obviously, my Christian Siriano look was an absolute favorite of the week with the pink dress with the peplum. It just like was so fabulous. All of my looks were really fun and unique and different. Like the first day I wore this fuzzy pink dress from this small brand called Toit Volant. And then, the second day I had the 3 outfit changes. I had the Kate Spade outfit, which was like a yellow cheetah print. Then I had the Christian Siriano dress, and then the Mila Sullivan dress with the vintage boa. Then for Alice and Olivia, which Alice and Olivia is always also a highlight for me, and they always have so many celebrities at their presentations. But Alice and Olivia does not do a show. They always do a presentation, and it's always like a grand affair, though. It's a beautiful, huge presentation, and Stacey, who has been on the podcast, so if you haven't listened to Stacey Bendet's interview, go give it a listen. But she always goes all out with the set designs for the presentations, which makes it just really like you're stepping into another world. And that's something that I really love, and I love about Fashion Week is the creativity that each designer puts into it, and how every single event is so, so different. So for Alice and Olivia, she sent me this blue, gold, and black suit that had a matching top, and I styled it with sequin Gucci loafers that were gold and a yellow Prada bag, which was awesome. The next day, oh my gosh, I wore these. It was also something I need to point out this Fashion Week. The weather was terrible. So though it looks glamorous online and like I made it work in all my photos, it was either the first day was a heat wave. So I was wearing that fuzzy pink dress I mentioned. I was dripping sweat. Like I went like this and put my hand in my neck at one point, just like pull it and give myself a little air. It was dripping sweat. And then after that, it turned into like a monsoon hurricane. It rained for pretty much 3 days. And then 2 days were an absolute heat wave. And then the last day was gorgeous. So, you really just couldn't win. You got to make it work. And that's why some of my photos and videos have umbrellas in them. And that's my key and one of my secrets during Fashion Week is always have a clear umbrella, a nice little clear umbrella. And it doesn't take anything away from the outfit. It adds to the outfit. But the day it rained, one of the days it rained, I wore these incredible, like, light pink boots, which were perfect for rain. And I styled it with a green little sequin mini skirt, a vintage Moschino t-shirt, and then getting on to day 5, I wore this sequin green look mini skirt and turtleneck and platforms. That The look was from Boss, and then the shoes were from this brand called United Nude. If you're looking at my Instagram, you can see all these photos. And then the last day I wore sneakers, and thank God I did, because as I mentioned, the traffic is so unpredictable during Fashion Week. So on the very last day at 9 a.m., so early, I had the Naeem Khan show, of course, in Midtown. And I was, got in my car, had a great time, gave myself plenty of time, of course, hit a ton of traffic. And lo and behold, my college track days paid off, because I had to get out of my Uber and sprint like 2 blocks to make it on time. And there I am, like, in my big pink glasses, my metallic 2-piece matching set with my purple baby Fendi baguette, sprinting down 7th Avenue and 36. So if you saw me, no, you didn't. But yeah, my looks, it's hard to pick a favorite look. It's like picking a child almost. But let me know what your favorite look of mine was, or which outfit just you thought was like the most creative or the most different. I really try during Fashion Week, like, my outfit mentality essentially is to really push myself and to just have fun, and to not be worried, obviously, what other people think, which is my mentality always, but especially during Fashion Week, because you're running into a lot of people, you're seeing a lot of people, and there can be like this like this judgment sometimes of, oh, who's wearing what, like, oh, they look so fabulous. But at the end of the day, you want to wear what you feel comfortable in and what you feel confident in. And for me, that's always bright and bold and sequin and metallic looks. So I feel like I really had a fun time this season, just, going all out with the outfit. And I did go a little crazy the first couple of days with some really uncomfortable shoes, but towards the end, I reeled it back in with some sneakers. So as I mentioned, some of my favorite moments: Sia's performance, of course. Seeing my, best friend walk in her first fashion show was just like unreal, like still just so special. Melk, Colin Lacasico, Daphnet, Christian Siriano, all some of my favorite moments and shows. And then another moment that I just love is this Fashion Week, I got to meet so many of you guys. So many people ran up to me and told me they listened to this podcast, or they followed me on TikTok or Instagram. They wanted to take photos together, and I loved it. Like, it was the most fun thing ever. If you see me around, always, please, always grab me. Like, when you guys were coming up to me and giving me hugs and saying you've listened to the podcast and the episodes you've loved, or outfits in particular you've loved of mine, like, it really does mean so much to me, because most of the time when it's not Fashion Week and I'm not out and about so often, I'm alone, just like shooting in my closet, and a lot of my work is done by myself. Content creation, like, though it's a very social job and you're out there a lot, like, a lot of times you're just by yourself editing and creating. So to get to meet you guys and to hear how much you love everything in the podcast and you resonate with it all, like, it really means so much to me. So to meet all of my virtual besties, you guys, like, it really was such a beautiful highlight of it all. So thank you to everyone who said hi and gave me a hug. If you're listening to this, it means a lot. Like, oh, also, on my second to last day, when I mentioned I went to the Melk show, I had 2 shows before that. I had Boss and I had Dennis Basso. And so I only had like a little bit of time to change before Melk, and then I had to head downtown because her show was downtown. So I had to change in a Starbucks bathroom. And I walk into the Starbucks and I'm like, it's always hit or miss. Like, are the people going to be like, I always buy something. I always still buy something because I don't want to assume like I can just use the bathroom. So I always buy like an unsweetened iced tea. And then I'm like, can I have the bathroom code, please? There I am with my duffel bag. Then I'm about to go change. But so I'm buying my drink, and the girl behind the counter is like, I follow you. She's like, I've been loving the Fashion Week content. I was like, you're about to see me change right now in real time. So it was so fun to get to like have that moment with her. So thank you for being so cool and nice and letting me change in the Starbucks bathroom and not making me feel weird about it, because during Fashion Week, you got to make it work. It's not always glamorous. Though it looks glamorous, like, I'm not changing in 5-star hotels all the time, or, eating at the fanciest restaurants. As you guys saw, I was eating sandwiches on the go in the back of my Uber, having a quick croissant in my 5-minute break in between things, because I really try to pack my schedule and support as many brands as I can, just because if I can give, anybody a little exposure or a little bit love during this time, like that's what it's all about. I also, coming from my editor roots, having been at Teen Vogue and at InStyle, like I just love seeing the collections in person. There's nothing like seeing a fashion show live and to be sitting front row and to get to witness it. So I try to go to as many things as I can. So the quick Starbucks outfit changes and the quick croissant, shoving it down your throat in the back of an Uber, like that's the real glamour of Fashion Week, and that's the Fashion Week that I love and I know and I look forward to every season. So my overall thoughts on Fashion Week this season. I know I've seen a lot of controversial thoughts over on the TikTok. Is New York Fashion Week dead? Is it not? I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not a psychic. All I can tell you guys is that I stay in my bubble and I'm running around popping around from show to shows and going to as many events as I can, and I will just enjoy it and be very, very thankful for as long as I can that I'm invited. Like, I really love what I do. I started going to Fashion Week in 2012, I believe, was my very first fashion show ever that I was invited to, and now it's 2023. So it's been a while. So whether it's dead, it's alive, it's cool, it's not cool, I will always be going to support all of my brands and all of my friends and all of my people forever, till I'm a little 80-year-old woman going to Fashion Week. But every season it brings new thoughts and new inspiration, and though I'm absolutely exhausted right now and I cannot wait to sleep this weekend and literally lay on my couch and snuggle with my cats so hard, I always leave Fashion Week feeling so inspired, and it just essentially reminds you why you do what you do and why you're getting up every day and you're filming and you're jumping around and, doing stuff that might be embarrassing, running across the street to get the shot and people are yelling at you to get out of the way. It's why you do what you do. Like, New York's such a beautiful and creative city, and you can express yourself in so many different ways, and I think Fashion Week's so beautiful to watch these young designers like put themselves out there and express themselves and watch them grow, and just to see, what comes each season. So I cannot wait to wear all the sparkles and all of the bow suits and all of the bedazzled dolphins next season. And I'm really excited, and I would love and hope to maybe in future months to have some of those upcoming designers on guest episodes for Making It in Manhattan. I think it could be really, really cool to get to chat with them about what it's like as they're having their first fashion weeks and building their brands. And that's the stuff I love, and that's the stuff I want to hear about. So overall thoughts, loved it. It was crazy. It was exciting. It was definitely another one for the books. I will always remember it and always cherish it. And that's why I love making the daily vlogs too, because though in the moment they're so tiring, when I go back and watch them like a year from now, I'll be like, oh my gosh, remember that? I did that. Wow, I'm so embarrassed. Or I said that. That's so cringe. But it's always nice to have those kind of as like a diary for myself, even to look back on and to remember everything. So my Making It in Manhattan tip of the New York Fashion Week podcast is: reminder, don't compare yourself for others. This goes for all the time, but especially during Fashion Week. Everyone has different schedules, and remember, social media is just the highlight reel. Go to things you love and focus on the fashion, enjoy the new collections, and network. Like, I said this in my prep episode leading up to Fashion Week. Like, I used to get so down on myself in the comparison, and it can still sneak in from time to time because it's all about, who's at this, who's at what, It's not about that. Focus on you. You could go to one show, you could go to 10 shows, you could go to 100 shows. Just don't get caught up in the comparison game of it all. Just be so proud of yourself. If anyone here is listening to this and you even went to one show or you volunteered at one show, like, just be so proud of yourself. That's such a huge accomplishment. I'll never forget my first Fashion Week, and I only went to literally one show and I went home, and that was it. But you should be so proud of yourself, because if your self 5 years ago, 10 years ago could look and see where you are now, forget it. They would be so incredibly proud of you. And sometimes I forget about that. And I have, thankfully, Dave, who reminds me, he's like, Car, 10 years ago when I met you, if you were doing these things that you're doing now, you wouldn't even believe it. You wouldn't even believe it if I told you you were doing these things. So it's important to sit back and celebrate the small wins. So, this weekend, go and do something. Treat yourself to your favorite lunch, your favorite dessert, I'm using food a lot because I love a good meal, but go buy yourself a little something. Treat yourself to a massage or a facial. Go do something to celebrate the little wins and to celebrate all that you're doing, whether you went to Fashion Week, you participated virtually, you watched, and you're telling yourself you're going to attend next season. Be proud of yourself for where you are. Everything happens when it's meant to happen, and everything will come when the time is right in life. Everything will come at the right time. And then my Making It in Manhattan question of the week is there anything new you did this season that was different from past seasons? So kind of jumping off the tip that I just spoke about, something that I realized myself doing this season that I think was a great thing I did that I think more people should do. So speaking to the comparison game, something that a lot of people do in the past it still happens, I just tried not to do it this season, is if you run into someone at an event, your first thought is to say, oh, what else are you going to this week? What other events are you going to this week? And though that might be like a very innocent question, just, hey, what else are you going to? It can sometimes come across very harsh or judgmental if maybe that person isn't going to anything else because they weren't invited to anything else, or maybe they, weren't invited to XYZ show and you're like, oh, I'm going to this. Are you going to that? It can just feel like hurtful and judgmental and comparison-y sometimes, especially when we're trying to, focus on mental health and make everybody feel good this week. So instead of saying that to people when I ran into others and was trying to make conversation, instead I started saying, what are you most looking forward to this week? What are you most excited for this week? Is there anything you're really excited for or looking forward to? And I could tell people's answers were so much happier to that question rather than what else are you going to? Because maybe they're just excited to see a show that they weren't even invited to. Maybe they're excited to just go to one after party, whatever it might be. So I think if you're listening to this, and just something to keep in mind for next season, as you go around to shows or you get invited to events or whatever it might be, instead of asking people, hey, what else were you invited to? Say, what are you looking forward to this week? What are you most excited for this week? Because I think it just takes off a layer of pressure and comparison for everyone to just make it a happier vibe for everyone as we go throughout Fashion Week with less comparison, less judgment, and just make everyone feel happy and excited as we go throughout the craziness. Okay, so that is a wrap on the New York Fashion Week episode. I hope you loved it. It's time for me to go to bed and to sleep for the next 3 days. Let me know what you guys thought. Send me any questions you might have about Fashion Week so I can answer them on future episodes, and I will see you guys soon.